Awesome. All right, I think we're just about ready to go. Okay, we're going to go live now. So welcome to everybody on the internet. We have just gone live. We're going to be doing the illustrative category this morning. And I'm Mel Newman. I'm going to be your host / chairperson this morning. And we're starting off with the illustrative, analogue and historical process category. We've got Mark Z, Terry Han, Victoria Berrick, Mary, David Evans and Robin Campbell on the panel. So we're going to get started, I think. If we can have our first print, please. Oh, I need to read the preamble, don't I?
Yep, should be under there.
Sorry, I haven't had my cup of tea yet this morning. Now, this is sponsored by CR Kennedy, which I believe have just recently moved premises. So you'll have to go and check out their new place of residence. Okay, so illustrative photography is a general category designed to recognise photographs taken or produced to illustrate a subject or topic. Images may be conceptual or representative in nature, and examples including images taken to illustrate a magazine article, a website or a book cover may also be outtakes from assignments, stock photography, or part of a personal project or creative expression. Entries into this category may be commissioned or self-commissioned. This category will be judged in two sections: illustrative photography and analogue and historical process photography. Analogue and historical process entries are first-generation prints, which may include fibre-based prints from negatives, carbon prints, salt prints, gum by... it's been a while since I've said these things. Bichromate, isn't it? It's bichromate platinum. And palladium prints, Van Dyke browns. I should have read this before I actually read it. Cyanotypes, tintypes, bromoil prints, dye transfers, emulsion lifts and emulsion transfers, and chromogenic... it's too early in the morning for this. Chromogenic prints made through an enlarger and not a laser imaging printer. It may be permissible to create a larger contained into negative through digital means. This may be made by inkjet printing or laser printing onto a clear film, but may not be manipulated in any way that could not be traditionally done in the wet darkroom. The minimum size of the entry has been abolished to allow some processes, as the film format of the camera may dictate the final image size. Post-production is limited to any changes that may be made using conventional darkroom techniques such as spotting dust and scratches, dodging and burning, and adjusting contrast and exposure. Composite images and photographs with added special effects, borders or backgrounds are not permitted. Although the category is judged in two sections to assist judges in their assessment, there is only one award. Wow, okay. That's a mouthful first thing in the morning. It's always a very interesting category, so let's get into it. First print, please. Print scores 87 is a silver distinction, and Robin Campbell's going to challenge that on 94.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this, guys. Tintypes are difficult at the best of times, and it is an experimental process, and we have got a whole array of perfection here. Talk about David Hockney, eat your heart out, Polaroid come tintype. So clever. The concept's been thought through absolutely and completely thoroughly. The choice of subject matter is very, very deliberate, and the detail in those wings of those insects is just immaculate. The concept follows all the way through. Love the grass on the base that sort of grounds the image, and it brings you round. The absolute icing on the cake for me was the spider that goes over two tintypes. You know, there's two images there to create the one, and somehow each image adds to the story. They don't clash, they all complement, and there's different animals in every single one. Absolutely brilliant. The technical expertise is bang on. The concept, everything is here for me for a gold award. Absolutely brilliant.
David Evans, you were down on the other end in the silver range.
Yeah, and I'm glad it was challenged because I can see a lot more now that I'm looking at it. I really liked the surprise of the spider going across the two. That's really, really enjoyed that. And now that I'm sitting here, it really reminds me of like a little insect puppet show. But I think that the effect that the tintype has on this final print is really quite lovely. I'll definitely be coming up.
Mark, you were in the silver distinction range.
Yeah, look, I think it's clearly a remarkable technical achievement. To get such consistency across this printing technique really needs to be awarded. The composition I kind of struggled with a little bit. The grounding of the grass is absolutely beautiful. The little nugget of that spider coming together over the two up in the top left is absolutely delightful. The thing that I kind of struggled with a little bit was the diagonals running through it. So I just felt that so from the bottom left through the three insects, the three flying insects, and then from the bottom right with the flowers running through, I think it brought almost a little bit too much structure to something that was so beautifully organic. And so I think whilst I'd love to see this get a high silver distinction, getting into that gold, look, I'm listening, Robin. I'm really, really, really tempted. I'm kind of sitting on the fence a little, but I want to hear what somebody else has to say.
Terry or Victoria? Terry.
When this turned around, I loved it. To me, it is a garden snapshot taken from ground level of the grass and the insects and everything around it. I love the spiders, but I'd love to have seen them at the lower level because I believe they're a ground-dwelling creature, and please don't let them fly. It just seemed to be having the spiders in the flight path where they're a grounded creature. If it was swapped over with the dragonflies, I think that would have lifted me up even higher.
Okay, Robin, I'm going to give you your right of reply.
All right, we're trying to find logical in something that's really organic, and there is no logic to this. This is, you walk into your natural history museum and they are all over the place. That's exactly how it is because we're being presented with specimens. There can't be a logical order in terms of where they've been placed because they're all individual elements. I had that sitting back, daydreaming, looking from the ground up into the sky and all the different elements and so forth. You know, that little piece of glass and just sitting under it and seeing the world go past. It just took me to that completely different world, and for me that's absolutely a gold, something that brings something unique I've not ever seen before, technically perfect. It just ticks every single box, and this is what we're looking for, guys.
All right, so Robin's going to hold her score at 94 and everybody else will please rescore. Yes, you can.
I know, but I've scored. Double X. No, it's very touchy pad, and it came through with a.
Oh, it did come through with a.
And I hit submit.
Let me just hang on 2 seconds. I'm going to reset the scores. Do you really want to reset the scores? Yes, I do. Oh, it reset everything. Okay, so just put your Robin, you'll have to put your first score in of 94 and everybody else can rescore, please. Well, everybody agrees with you that it should be a gold award. 91. Excellent, excellent job. All right, next print, please. Print scores 87 and is a silver with distinction. Robin, perhaps you can explain the difference between this print, and I know it's not supposed to compare, but...
I'm happy to talk for this print.
Yep,
yeah, absolutely. Brilliant technique, loving the transparency in leaves and seeing the leaf structures and so forth. Silver distinction, the 9 plate, I think, balances absolutely perfectly. Doesn't have that je ne sais quoi of the organic element, if you want to reference to the previous one of life flowing through and so forth, but it's a beautiful botanical documentation, and that's, yeah, solid silver distinction.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. And if you've just joined us at home, we are in the illustrative, analogue and historical processes category of the now named SANTAs, South Australian Northern Territory Tasmanian Awards. And we have Mark Z, Terry Hand, Victoria Berwick, Mary, David Evans and Robin Campbell currently judging. Print scores 88, silver distinction. Robin's going to challenge it because she's at 94. Yeah. Off you go.
Yeah, seriously, this work is just so outstanding. Tintypes, it was traditionally something that you used when, before we had negatives and easy to use access. And this just brought me straight back to the wilds of, Guatemala, Patagonia, first historians discovering new species, the taxidermy, the figuring out how things worked on the inside. There's so many incredibly historical references here. You've got all the different parts of the animal. It's a scientific documentation of the life, the death, the deconstruction, the decomposing. Scientifically, it's strong. Creatively, it's strong. Aesthetically, you got this little skeleton running top all the way down through to the bottom, and then the beak in the final just to ground it. It's just so clever. This photographer, I don't know where they've been studying, Science Museum of New York, you know, it's just brilliant. Aesthetically, technically, once again, we've ticked every single box for a gold award. I originally was thinking, 98, am I going insane? Wish I had done 98 because it is the best tintype I've ever seen. And I think intellectually we need to be rewarding this photographer. They've really pushed the boundaries. Unique gold.
All right, I'm going to ask a comment from Victoria, please.
I was in silver distinction. This is clearly superior craft and skill, and I really find it hard to find fault in this. It is very appealing, but I'd love to hear a bit more narrative on it.
David Evans.
I get really freaked out by dead birds. So this is, and once again, the more I'm sitting looking at it, just like, you know, before, I'm seeing more, and I'm starting to draw little stories from it, like a little, you know, these are like pieces of a little Birdman sort of with its armor or something like that. There's all these different places my mind's going, and each time I think of these things, my score goes up.
Okay. Terry, comment from you maybe, please.
Beautifully done, beautifully seen. I just feel as though there's too much in it. Other than the centre panel, which goes over the skeleton going over the 3 panels, that draws your eye, but my eye keeps on getting drawn to the top right, which is a solid black. And I think that's in too much contrast for the beauty of the skeleton, and the other parts I just find too strong a black. I think too much has been included in it, and it's been taken away from the simplicity of what is there in the centre.
Robin, your right of reply.
Yeah, isn't this fun? You know, it's really interesting because it's kind of almost the reverse of the previous one in that we want complexity. For me, when you talk about tintype, you talk about literally standing there coating pieces of tin to create something you can then make an exposure of. I'm imagining the wilds of unfounded lands and discovering new creatures, and because these resources are so precious, you want to put as much as possible into every single tintype to document this incredible creature. I love that there's a shadow that shows the completeness of the animal right through to the jaw. The V jaw is just extraordinary. That one little piece of bone that's sitting there, it's like yet another breakdown of this fantastic animal. It's not designed to be perfectly aesthetically adorable. It's designed to document this creature as a museum would. Gold, 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 gold.
Okay. So Robin is going to hold her score at 94 and everybody else will please rescore. Gold, 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 91. And we'll have our next print, please. Print score's 87 and is a silver distinction, but we have a 91. Terry Hand's going to challenge this one.
To sit back, excuse me, sitting back looking at it, my first impressions took me back to my teenage years, sitting at a little table playing Space Invaders and Phantom X and things like that. It's sort of the old video games. You get up and have a look, and they're skeleton parts that have been put together to resemble that. And it's the one thing that has a dual meaning, and I think that sort of fantastic vision, beautifully done and created, and the background on the tintype sort of gives it that oldie worldy feel as well. So I think it's the vision on this is very good and deserves a gold.
Mark Z, comment from you, please.
Yeah, sure. Look, again, faulting the technique, you just can't do it. The artist has really crafted these so exceptionally well. This, however, it feels a little bit like composition for the sake of composition without actually having a really strong driving narrative behind it. I held it in that, like, I strongly believe that it should be a silver distinction. The thing that's really lacking for me, and I appreciate, I saw what Terry saw in it, but I don't think that was the intention of the author, and that's kind of what held me a little.
Robin Campbell?
Yeah, I totally got Space Invaders straight away as well, and I actually do think it's entirely intentional. I'd actually love to, if we can, hear from David, because I figured out the bottom left is all vertebrae, left top is skulls, and I'd love to know which other two parts of the body the other two are, because they're dissections. It's like an MRI, it's the dissections that are then used in a creative way to it's the pareidolia of creating something that's completely different to what it actually is, and it messes with your brain. The longer you sit there, the more stories you can get out of it. That's artistry, that's creativity to the absolute max. It's playing with my brain, and I'm going up to gold.
David or Victoria, would either of you like to make a comment before we go back to Terry? David, yes? Sure.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Oh, well, mostly vertebrae, but some skulls at the top left. Yeah, different types of, yeah, look, I saw everything, agree with everything. I saw this as more of a nice little story about that the similarity in the natural parts of these skeletons looking like something else, and I thought that was lovely, but it didn't give me quite the same kind of feeling. Therefore, I gave it a silver, and I just didn't quite see the same vision in order to go to silver distinction with this one. But for all those reasons, I think it's worthy of a solid silver.
Okay, Terry, your right of reply.
I don't think it is any accident that we've all seen sort of something else in this, and it all being from 1980s video games. The positioning of them is relevant to each game that we remember, and I would think if the photographer wasn't aware consciously of the games, then they would have seen it, and that would have been sort of channeling to them somehow. So it is definitely worth a gold, because it's no accident on how it's been put together.
All right, 91, Terry, you'll hold that score, and I'll get everyone else to rescore, please. $89. So it's still a silver distinction. Okay, if we can have a blank screen for just a moment, please. Now, because of the type of print that those are, they're not going to be hanging in the gallery, because we don't want them broken. They're actually glass. So if you would like to actually view them at all, talk to Sue Lewis, and she'll organise for you to actually be able to have a look at them. we kind of figure that because they're one-offs, the last thing we want to do is break one. So with that said, we're now going to be going to our next set of images, which is the illustrative category, and I'm going to continue with the current judges that we have. So if we can have our next print, please. By majority, this is an 85 and a silver distinction. Can I have a comment from Mark, who was on 87?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you know, when we're looking at this kind of repetitive type pattern work, we're really looking for those little bits that elevate it. And because this wasn't just, the artist wasn't, the photographer wasn't kind of tempted into just keeping one quarter and flipping it around and keeping everything symmetrical, there's been a lot of thought into the placement that I feel got duly rewarded by just knocking it up to that silver distinction. So I think they should be very happy with the piece in front of us.
Great, thank you very much. Next print, please. By majority, this scores an 84, which is a silver award. It's very good. We had a couple of judges up in the silver distinction range. Can I have a comment from someone on this one, please? Robin? Yep.
Yeah, really cleverly designed. Love the placement of the plane. It's a very, very balanced image. To take it higher for me, I would have liked to see a little more punch in the colour, a bit more saturation, a bit more intensity and contrast.
All right. There's a lot of nodding from the judges from that as well. So maybe something for the author to think about. Next print, please. Print scores 80 and is a silver award. Can I have a comment from one of our judges? Mark, maybe, please?
Yeah, look, I think for me, it snuck over the line into that award range. The composition is really what's making this, but I just feel like it's a little bit too crunchy in that it's almost just been a little bit pushed a fraction too far. So if you're going to AIPP, maybe just pull things back a little bit, especially in that kind of tonal contrast.
And lots of nods again from the other judges on that one. Thank you. Next print, please. Print scores 88 and is a silver distinction. But there's a but. Terry, I'm going to accept the challenge from you at 92. You do have somebody else up in the gold range with you, so take it away.
So only have to convince one person. This, I think, has got fantastic vision. The topiary that has been done has brought sort of a human figure sort of out of the weeds of despair, and it's brought that bird onto the shoulder. I just think it's got a beautiful story. I wish I could tell the story better myself, but it's beautifully surrounded by the foliage around the edge, so it's contained within it, and with the weeds drifting off into the background, it's beautifully done. Please come up.
Mark, you were an 84.
Yeah, I kind of my eye darted around for quite a while trying to find that narrative in there, and it wasn't until I really saw that wallpaper background that brought a story to the picture for me. It's this dressmaker's doll. We've got it's the old style dressmaker's doll. We've got the old style kind of wallpaper in the background that's been used as the texture at the top. And then we've got all of this really lovely organic green nature, and I couldn't actually try and kind of put together what commentary the photographer was trying to communicate with that story. And I was hoping for that little bit more of that element in that background, that subtlety that would maybe actually kind of start to press a little bit more thought into, we're so factory dressed these days versus like this lovely greenery in this dressmaker's sense. But I just felt that the story wasn't quite communicated. I still believe that it's really deserving of a silver though.
Victoria, you were up in the gold range.
The visual communication was really strong for me. I see the mother nature in this. I really identify with the mother figure in this, perhaps because my mum has one of these mannequins to make dresses. It's beautifully framed, beautifully composed. The presentation is gorgeous. The printing is delicious, which is why I'm in gold.
Robin?
I'm trying to get there and I'm trying to figure it out as well. I think, though, I'll just quickly say, I think the thistles in the background have something to do with the story. So the spiky thistles that are in the background and they're darker and they're less colour and they're dead versus the birth of new life. I'm thinking maybe there's something in that.
Terry, your right of reply?
Yes, it's the thistles that make it. It's sort of the yes, the birth of new life, the beauty in the weeds and the harshness. The beauty there has brought the birds in, or the bird in. I don't quite know how much how to verbalise, but it's got a sort of that beautiful feeling to it of beauty in the weeds.
All right, so Terry's going to hold his score at 92, and I'm going to have everyone else rescore, please. Print goes gold, 90. Next print, please. Print scores 83 and is a silver award. A comment, please, from Mark.
Yeah, look, visually pleasing composition. The image directs the eye. I couldn't quite personally put it in. I'm not upset that it got a silver. I think it's it's really great, and the entrant does need to be rewarded for pursuing this. But a few little things just held me back a little bit, and that was the edge work around the building. It was very very sharp, and it just a few little needs to be refined a little bit. If it's going to APRA, I think look at how you've blended and merged this image a little better, because you've got it all there. It's just the process needs to be just a fraction more refined.
Okay, thank you very much. Next print, please. Print scores 84 and is a silver award. Mark's challenging that. Mark said he's going to challenge that. He's on 90. Everybody else is sitting in the silver range, Mark. So off you go.
Look, when this came around, it's visually striking. It gets you up. It gets you looking straight off the bat. The technique being used, being complemented by that colour palette is just wonderful. So even to the saturations of the reds in the corners of the eyes, the reds in the hair versus the cool shades of the blue, we've got this fire maiden. You know, it's very the stoic pose, the organic nature, the flow of the hair, the flow of the body paint that's been used, versus the really stark choice of background, that very mechanical industrial feel to the background. It's, you know, she has become this surreal, powerful entity. And so to me it's exceptional vision, creativity, it's innovative as well. And it's, you know, every part I can't fault anywhere where it's been handled.
Comment from Victoria, please.
I agree with what you're saying, Mark. I was a little initially blindsided, I guess, by the fabric. I would love to have seen it without the fabric. The texture of the fabric and also the crease lines through the fabric that could have been ironed out. It just distracted me from the beauty of this image. But I'm definitely appreciating where you're coming from, and we'll look to come up.
David Evans, comment from you, please.
Yeah, I agree with you also, Mark, but I am totally in love with the left half of the image, the face, and I don't mind the material and the body. I'm just totally distracted by how bright the colour of the hair is, and the illusion is kind of let down of this person being turned into some other thing inside the ear and underneath the nose, where it just, I don't know, it just looks like they run out of makeup or something. And it just kind of shatters the illusion I have of what this creature or person is and why they look like that. So this for me would have been much higher and could be easily go much higher if the hair was toned down and inside of the ear and just under the bridge of the nose were just taken care of just a little bit more.
All right, Robin, just a comment from you two, please.
Yeah, just quickly, I'm on silver. I'm going up to silver distinction. All the mechanical aspects, yeah, I didn't really put those together, but now I have. I too, the ear really, really bothers me. It needs to be filled, Photoshop, post-production, whatever. And if you can just soften down that hair a little bit so it's less literal, and I'd be gold at AIPP.
Terry, you had a comment to make as well?
The first thing that drew my attention away was the hair, but sitting back, the more I look at it, the more I feel that the head and neck are disjointed from the body. It just doesn't feel as though the two belong. It almost feels as though the shoulders, the body is facing one way, and the head and neck are facing the other. So whether it's that line sort of the collarbone, I'm not sure, but it just doesn't feel as though it belongs.
Right, Mark, your right of reply.
Yeah, look, I understand that when we're looking at technique with something like this, we see so much stuff that is very, very reliant on post-production technique. This is in-camera artistry here. This has been something that has been created by somebody pursuing a purist approach to their craft to produce very surreal images and portraits of exceptional quality. The shape of that, the blue fabric, I think is very deliberate. It adds to the motion of the figure, and I think if we didn't have it and it was a nude, it would just become another one of those art nudes. Whereas here we're looking at something that we go straight for the power of the face, the eye. It grabs your attention. The use of the reds and the blues bring that eye forwards as well. I think we should be looking at coming up, guys. I believe it's worth a gold. I'd love to see you come up a little.
Okay, so Mark's going to hold his score at 90. Current score is 84. I did come up to 87. That's a silver distinction. And we'll have our next print, please. Print score 79. Can I have a comment from one of the judges who's not in that silver range, please? Robin, thank you.
Yeah, I struggled a little bit to actually see the concept in this image. So we've got an eye with some lacing or something over the front, which is out of focus. I believe there's a story in there. It's just a little bit hard to actually get the communication across.
Okay, thank you very much. Next print, please. Mark's going to step off, and where's my judges list? Where's Ben? Ben, can you step in for this one, please? Print scores 84 and is a silver award. Now, Ben, I'm going to keep you on right where you are. Terry, I'm going to remove you from the judging panel. G, if I can have you on, please. Yes, while we're just doing that, can I have a comment from one of our other three judges? David, maybe, please. Thank you.
I don't really actually think I've seen a treatment of an image quite like this. I think it's really quite unique. From a distance, I'm not sure I really liked it, but going up close, I actually really, really liked the way that it's been treated. And, you know, in terms of an application in illustrative category, I could really see this as an album cover or something like that. So I think it's actually a really strong image and quite unique.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll have our next print, please. Print scores 79. We're going to have a challenge from Robin Campbell on 84.
Yeah, I love the sense of movement in this image. I love that you actually feel that you can. He's sort of moving away from you. There's a time travel element within it. The starkness of the black and white is just so strong. I could see this as a really, really successful book cover, and I think Penguin or any of those massive publishers would definitely pick it up. Illustrative piece of communication, rainy day, walking away. There's a bit of city industrialisation behind. There's a lot in there, but when you sort of squint your eyes, it's a really, really simplistic image, and I think that's what makes it interesting in that it's simple yet it says so much. And to get a sense of movement in a still stagnant image. And so successfully convey it, I think is worthy of silver.
G, please, comment from you.
Robin, I hear all of that, and that's what I loved about it. The struggle is when we're talking about a print awards, I walked up and we've got the blacks, very heavy, and that's I'm okay with that in a print like this. But then the drop off from that black, we've got a lot of noise, a lot of sort of banding happening here. So I actually think. Yes, I would be up in your scoring range, but I just want the author or the photographer just to come back a bit, be a bit more aware of the transitions from black to grey, and yeah, because otherwise I would have been cheering just as much as you.
David, you're in the silver range as well, so can we hear from you, please?
Yeah, I thought those printing issues were pretty cool, actually. That's the best way I can describe it. I didn't really see them as issues. I kind of see them as a bit sort of rad. So I don't think they're mistakes, is what I'm saying. So I definitely see this as a silver image.
Robin, your right of reply, please.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting because things that really bug other people excite others. I actually saw them as brush strokes, so entirely incidental. And I think it's really important to break the rules and have your black locked up blacks and your whites, and I think it has that level of contrast, which is part of what makes it exciting. Totally get from a technical printing point, I'm totally with you, totally understand it, but I actually also think it's intentional, and that's part of what it is. So if that's the thing that's holding you back, if you can release that and see that it's creative license, that is how it's designed to be as an artistic choice, then that's the direction I ask you to go in terms of getting it to a silver.
Okay, so Robin will hold her score at 84 and everybody else will rescore, please. And now it is an 82 and a silver award. Robin, you wanted to say something as well?
Yeah, I didn't want to put it in my debate. The actual print itself had lots of little black dots on it. I think it's the foam in the box has degraded.
Okay.
It was just covered in black foamy dots.
All
so
right.
replace the foam in your folio case.
No worries. And this is a really good example of learning the rules and then learning how to break them. All right, next print, please. You're stepping off. Print scores by majority an 84. So it's a silver award. Can we have a comment from Robin, please, on this one, if that's okay?
Yeah, beautiful piece of art. I actually really love the abstract nature of the three elements. What took me down from silver distinction was the texture in the background. There's a really obvious line that runs through it as well, and I actually found it quite distracting. So tone down the texture in the background, and I think it could go higher.
Okay. Mark, I'm going to keep you there, please. And we'll go to our next print while I fix up. Oh, blank screen first, please. Sorry. So I've just got a little bit of an out of order sequence, which is fine because it means I can fix up my judges while we're waiting. And while we're waiting, for those AIPP members out there, you may have state council elections coming up. Check your email because we've been blessed with a number of people putting their hand up for nominations for states. And there is currently voting going on. So if you would like to have some input into who's going to be doing stuff for your state, and there is an election, please make sure that you go and vote. And for all of those states that didn't have to vote, thank you so much to all of those people that put their hands up. We're looking forward to an excellent new year, new financial year. Be awesome. I said it, awesome. It's going to be awesome. All right, we're just 30 seconds away, so I better spruik the dinner tickets. If you haven't got your dinner tickets yet, please make sure you do so. They're available online, and apparently it's quite the party. It's 4 hours drinks and food extravaganza, and it's got a photo booth, I was told yesterday. Lots of fun. All right, so after all my advertising, we'll go to our next print. Thank you. Print scores 81 and is a silver award. And I'm going to excuse G and bring back Mr. Terry Han. Oh, yes, and a comment, please, Mark, while I do that.
Yeah, look, I think it's so close to being pushed over into that silver range for me. I'm happy that it got there. But please just consider and it's not actually a halo, but it's the implied, there might be a halo there just running along that tree line that becomes a little bit distracting. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. So maybe just look at just toning down those highlights in that top layer above that tree line.
Okay, thank you very much for that comment. Let's move on to our next print, please. Print score 79. Robin, can I have a comment from you, please?
Yeah, I think we understand the concept here. Lots of hands coming up, reaching for something. Just struggling with the muddiness of the print in general. It's just so dark and locked up. So, yeah, perhaps print quality and guess give us a point of focus.
All right, thank you. Next print, please. Print scores 79. David Evans, you were right on 79. So if you can give us a comment, please.
I think this could easily go into the silver range. I think it just needs a little bit more story. And it reminds me of a lot of things. It kind of reminds me of like a termite farm looking through the glass where the sand is kind of up against the glass and then the little tree. It's all great, but I just want a little bit more narrative to it in order to get it into the award range.
All right, thanks for those comments. Next print, please. G, can I get you to step in for Ben, please? You just take Ben's spot. That's all right. It's okay. Doesn't matter. That's all right. No, that's okay, Terry. Just put the score in. It's all good. Musical chairs here today, people. It's all good. Print scores 77. Mark Z, comment from you. You're on 78.
Yeah, sure. Look, there's a gorgeous picture in here that's been overcomplicated by a heavy use of a texture, which is actually starting to detract from that beautiful narrative of those two kids running up and down that jettyway. I think for this category as well, there's not a lot of reason to have the distractions of what's happening underneath that pier either, but I think this could be reworked into something that will go into the award range.
All right, thank you. Next print, please. Print scores a silver distinction at 85. Robin, can I get a comment from you on this one, please?
Yeah, conceptually, this is really, really strong. It's someone that's sort of been lost into a digital world. They've been fully digitized, and it says down the side, she had, and then blah, 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 kind of disappears. It's like she was someone and now is no longer. I'd like to see a little less heaviness overall so that we can fully see the concepts that are in there, because there's lots of incredible little specks of detail in there, particularly the little red second image of her face, like she's being scattered through digital space and dissected. And if it was a little less dark and we could see that concept a little bit stronger, I think for me it would go higher.
All right. Thank you. Next print, please. Print scores 81 and is a silver award. And I'm going to ask Terry to give us a comment while I swap a few people around. I'm going to you're required elsewhere, Robin. So if you can disappear for a little while. And I'm going to bring G back on, please. G, up on Robin's spot. And comment from, yep, go for it.
It's beautifully done, lovely tones, a lovely soft image, and it's lovely to see that it's all done by hand and not sort of not flipped. And the closer you look, the more you can see that there are slight inconsistencies, but it's still sort of very consistent throughout.
Victoria, I'm going to get you to come in just for one as well. All right. Next print, please. Print scores 82 and is a silver award. Mark Z, can I have a comment from you? Because you were just below the silver, so you may have some words to improve this.
Yeah, look, I enjoy the lack of symmetry in the placement of this. I quite enjoy that. That's not what held it back for me. What held it back for me was the original choice of image. I felt could have been a lot stronger. I think this is a concept that deserves being redone with more thought. Now that you've come up with a technique to produce such a striking image, you need to go back, you need to reshoot that model, you need to get a stronger facial expression and complement that fire tone with the choice of lingerie that they're dressed in, and you'll have something really stunning.
All right, we'll accept that score. I'm just going to do a quick judge change before our next print comes back in. All right, our next print, please. Print scores 79. David Evans, you're on 77. Comment, please.
Yeah, I think it's just because the point of focus is the leg, and I really, really want it to be the top half of the figure. But the top half of the figure isn't lit as much, and also is a lot of confusion there. So great concept and colour, but just the wrong place to look or directed to.
Okay, thank you very much. Next print, please. Print scores 81 and is a silver award. Gee, you were right on 81. Can I get a comment from you, please?
You know, I actually fell into this print and I did want to bring it up. The struggle being, now the control on the blacks of this is actually stunning, but I just want to ask for a bit more on the right side of the face. And then also our point of focus is down on what's in the hands, and that's where the focus has fallen. And I would either actually just crop that off or lighten that, bring that down a bit, hide it more in those gorgeous blacks, the delicious blacks. And yeah, I would just be all over that.
All right, thank you very much. Next print, please. Print scores 81 and is a silver award. But before I could even announce the the score, G's got her hand up and she's on 88. So G's going to challenge.
All right, we're artists, right? This is paintbrushes. And they're going off all the way. So we've got this colour, this tiny hint of colour. You think it's black and white. I hate selective colour. We all do. But this is delicious. Like, it's the tiniest little bit of selective colour, and we actually go up into the light at the end of the tunnel. This is our process, our creative process. We start with the focus, we fall out, we have that crappy middle, and then we fall to the end. The handling, I actually would have gone up higher into gold if it wasn't for just some of the handling of the highlights and the colours on the edges of the frame. Always watch the edges of the frame. But otherwise, this says so much. The placement of the brushes, guiding us through, the beautiful focus all the way through. I'm all about it.
Mark, is there a comment from you, please? You're on 77.
Yeah, look, I got the paintbrush reference. That hint of colour, I agree, is surprisingly spectacular. That's what this has going for it in spades. What just held me back so much was the choice of point of focus for this. I want the foreground. I want the middle to be grabbing me, and then I want to fall away off focus again to the end. And I just feel that the focus pulling me out to the corner of the frame, I'm missing that journey to the tunnel because I'm held at that bottom left corner so much that's why I held it back into that. Yeah, it's great professional practice, but to get over that line, I think that needed that. You've gone so much effort, just translate that into the point of focus.
David Evans, you were in the silver range as well.
Yeah, I really agree with the point of focus point, basically. That's the reason why I'm held at the bottom, and the only thing drawing me up to the top is the highlight, which is too ambiguous to really contribute to much to the story for me. So I'm happy on a silver.
All right, G, your right of reply.
You're kidding me. Okay, so we got the highlight bringing us up, and you're like, it's ambiguous. Of course, that's the end of our creative process. We never know where we're going to end up. And so that ambiguity is something that I adore, and really tells a story. Starting off with the point of focus being on that edge is so daring, so delightful. So starting off at the beginning and we're in focus, we're clear at the beginning, that's that narrative, and then we lose it as we go through, or we as we begin our process, we start to get a bit foggy and we start to second guess and question. That's the story. So I'm so not against that point of focus. And come on, delightful colour.
All right, G will hold her score at 88, and we'll have everyone else please rescore. $85, silver distinction. And I'm going to have Terry come back in, please, for Ben. We like to keep our judges fresh, on the ball. All right. Next print, please. Print is the silver award at 82. G, I'll get a comment from you, please.
For me, it was just that lighting, and it's quite harsh, and I just wanted to. We're very heavy on the right side of the image. Not just that. So our highest points of contrast, we've got a bit of her eyes, and then the next heaviest black is her crotch, and so I just want to just pull that down because you go straight to that line. I'm sorry to be that person. Thank you.
Okay, next print, please. Print by majority scores 79. We've got a kind of an interesting situation here because the three under 79 are all 79. So obviously there's something that's holding you guys back. Mark, do you want to make a comment, please?
Yeah, look, I really, really wanted to come up on this so much. The colour rendition is beautiful. The treatment is beautiful. The print quality is beautiful. And then we've got that lean down on the top right that breaks the symmetry, and we've gone from something that could have been so much to something that's really great professional practice.
Okay, we're all in agreement with that. Awesome. Said it again. All right, our next print, please. Print score's 79. Mark, you were on 79 again. Can I get you to comment, please? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Look, I think the image capture here is absolutely so strong. The lighting is fantastic, but we've overcomplicated it. I think we've gone that one little step too far. I don't know whether it needs the centre part removed, whether that would simplify it enough. But I think you've got a really strong original capture anyway. Sometimes technique, just because you can, doesn't mean that you should. And I think you've got something really strong in there to go back and revisit.
All right, thank you very much. We'll have our next print, please. Print score's an 86 and is a silver distinction. Are we all happy with that score? Okay, this is where we're going to get a challenge from G on 92. Off you go.
All right. It turns around. Colour palette goes, hello. And so we've got this beautiful night scene, but and everything just sits beautifully in that colour palette. And I was like, cool, please don't disappoint me, please don't disappoint me. I went up and then, and I was sitting on that silver distinction. I was like, yeah, great. But then I got stuck on all the little windows and I got stuck on the fact that there's a life being lived in this house. And then I got stuck on the fact that there's also a lighthouse there and a single star trying to guide the way. And this person has sort of set themselves up in this tree. And then there's a cat and there's also spilt milk. So there's this chaos going on, and then we've kind of got this guidance off in the direction, and I'm really enjoying that kind of relationship. So tonally, beautiful. Conceptually, I'm just falling into it, and the more I look at it, the more I'm like, yes. And then it's just delicious to look at. Bring me to a gold.
Terry, you were on 86, so you were in the silver distinction range.
Yes, I love this image when it turned around. Love the colour palette, and it's got a beautiful story. I didn't think it quite went to the gold because there are a few parts of the story that just didn't quite come together. Things like there's still daylight in the background, yet the lighthouse is at night. There's reflections of lights on the water, but they don't come from a light source. They can't be coming from the treehouse because the reflections are sort of behind that, the hot spots. And a very technical thing, but in the top roof line of the attic, it's not quite consistent, but that's only a very minor thing. But just putting it all together, it didn't quite get up to gold for me.
David Evans, please. A word from you.
I like the overall colour palette treatment, the way that it's all been put together is wonderful. For me, it's just kind of illustrative devices all put together, and it's a bit too much for me, so that I don't understand the story. You know, birdcage, ladder, lanterns, moon, lighthouse, they're all quite things that I've seen before in these types of images, and there's heaps of them. And so I'm bouncing around, I'm thinking, well, I'm not really sure what the message is, or what the story is. I've given it a silver. I think it's a wonderful image.
Mark said, a comment from you, please.
Yeah, look, I wanted that extra little element in there to complete the story. We've got lots of little stories that kind of start to come at you once you've had a chance to sit on them. First impact, amazing storybook image. This has got, you know, it's got the impact, colour palette, everything. Like this is, you know, it's a striking image. In the consistency of the use of created or put together light, for a composite type of image, there's been a lot of care and consideration. I agree with Terry with the hotspots on the water. They're not quite right, but I can forgive that because the rest has gone so well. The thing that I missed, I loved seeing that little satellite dish there, you know, totally unexpected, beautiful little, you know, that's a gem in this type of work that I would have just loved that person sitting on that couch that we've got in the window with a remote, with their legs up, and that's their haven, their hideaway. And because we didn't have that, my heart kind of sank a little. I just wanted to see that, the completion of the story. I scored it a very solid silver. I think with that by completing that story, absolutely I would have come to the gold, but for me it wasn't quite there.
Okay, G, your right of reply.
Alrighty. So, David Evans sort of mentioned Terry mentioned the light sources not matching up. Okay, can we just take a moment to appreciate it? Nothing is real here. So, it's a house in a tree with a cat up there, and they have satellite. This is not telling us that this is real. This is absolutely 100% fantasy, and I think we can strip away some light, you know, some of that light sources. You know, we can go, okay, like, this is not real. The next thing, Mark, I'm actually with you on the, you know, so we got the satellite, and you're sort of hoping for someone on the couch. I'm not. It's sort of the absence of that person. We've got so much happening. David Evans mentioned that. And we are actually hearing about this person. We're seeing this person. We know they're into satellite. We know that they've got a great lounge room. We know they've got a cat. We know who this person is. They're a person who chills on the couch. They don't want to know anybody. So we've really got that story tying together. So frankly, I'm just not concerned about things just being a little bit off, because it is a little bit off. Please bring me to gold, my friends.
Right, so G's going to stay at 92, and everybody else will please rescore. $90 gold. Can I, just behind the scenes, have a blank screen for a moment while I do a bit of a judge shuffle? Victoria, G and Terry, thank you for your services. And I'm going to bring in George and Dean and Robin, please. All right, so who we got sitting there? Hi, George. Haven't met you before. Nice to meet you. So, this is position 1, isn't it? Robin's coming here, okay. And yes, you are, actually. Get comfortable. We've got Mark, we've got David, and we've got George F. You're number 1? Yes, got it all good. Okay, we're all updated. All right, we ready, guys? And we'll have our next print, please. So if you've just joined us, we are in the illustrative category of the SANTAs, the South Australia Northern Territory Tasmania Awards. And we have on our panel at the moment Robin Campbell, Dean Mainsbridge, Mark Zed, David Evans and George F from the Northern Territory. I'm going to practice that name. I'll definitely get that one sorted out. Mansbridge. Sorry, Mansbridge. I should know. Sorry, Dean. I'll make sure I practice that one as well. That's an easy one to remember because it's very manly. Mansbridge. Print scores 78. Robin, can I get a comment from you, please?
Yeah, I love the delicacy of the leaf and the way that that's been brought to our attention. I just find it a bit sort of lacking in the communication what it is about the leaf that you're trying to tell us. So, yeah, more of a story.
Okay, thank you. Next print, please. This print scores 77. Who would like to? Yes, Dean, thank you. Give us a comment.
That was louder than I thought. I feel a bit of a sense of disconnect, I think, with what's going on here. I feel there's some perhaps printing or handling issues. There's a real extreme kind of HDR or over-sharpening or something going through the middle and some haloing around our central sort of figures. So it's a cool sort of, documentary on this maybe family unit, but I think just the disconnect with the subjects is letting it down.
All right, thank you very much. Next print, please. Bryn scores 82 and is a silver award. We're going to challenge? Yep. Okay, so David Evans is going to challenge on 87.
I really like how bold this is, and the print. Let's start with the print quality. It's beautiful. I like the density and the overall balance sort of swirling around, but I just really like the deliberate choice to put those planes in the reflection and just ensure that it's sort of believable with the kick of the tail of each one. There's a lot of deliberate choices that have been made to create quite a pleasing, clean image where it's not obvious. It's, the obvious thing would have been to put them in the sky or whatever, or put more of the reflection into the shot. But I actually think it's cleaner this way. I think it's definitely worthy of a silver distinction. I'd like to hear what others have to say.
Robin, can I get a comment from you, please?
Yeah, I find it quite an intriguing image because I'm trying to figure out whether it's illustrative or commercial, and it sort of sits in that funny line in between. The printing suggests to me, you know, it's really, really sharp, it's on glossy paper, so I'm sort of going, well, it's not really a piece of fine art, and I'm sort of caught in between which it is, because as a commercial image, you sort of go, it doesn't quite work, but as a creative image, you go, yeah, okay, I'm almost there. So I'm listening. I'm really fence sitting at the moment.
Dean, you were 83.
Yeah, I was straight away like, this is in that above professional practice and is worthy of a silver award. I'm still on the fence with pushing myself further or being encouraged to go further into the distinction range. There's nothing particularly that I can articulate that's holding me back from doing that, though. So that is probably the definition of a fence sitter, isn't it? But I love it. I think we've been presented with something that's has a strong graphic. I love the motion that's in there, the sense of motion and space, and these these figures in the planes, in the infinity of sky, but cramped within this small little portion of the image. I think is really cool. It keeps all the mechanical humanness within the structure, and the air is just there to breathe. But this sort of figure of the wave through the middle and the motion that's in the clouds is really appealing to me and juxtaposed to the straight structure man-made figures in there. So yeah, I'm listening and could be convinced.
Right, I think we might go back to your right of reply, David, please.
You've said positive things about the image, and if you're sitting on the fence, I think you should hop off.
With that said, Dave is going to hold his score at 87, and everybody else will please rescore. $85 by majority, silver award. Next print, please. Sorry, silver with distinction. Oh, dear me. Prince scores a silver distinction at 85. Who would like to make a comment on this one? Excellent, thank you, Dean.
It made me feel sick, and I think that sort of immediate emotional connection is really, really powerful. I think that there's heaps of technical things it's got right, which you have to if you're going to get a silver distinction, which is what I believed it deserved for sure. But yeah, it's a terrible, disgusting story, but it's been presented to us in a way that is really striking and is fitting within that story. So congratulations and really well done.
Okay, thank you very much. Next print, please. Print scores 80, silver award. And a comment, please, from Robin.
I enjoy the delicacy in this image. Sorry for those of you who just had the eardrums explode. And I'd love to see the delicacy carried through to the printing. So the locked up blacks on the left-hand side, if they were a lot more subtle, I would have been in the high silvers. But as it is, I'm 78, and I would strongly encourage, if this was to be entered into APPA, that it would be reprinted.
Okay, thank you. Next print, please. This print has scored an 86 and is a silver with distinction. Robin, can I have a comment from you, please?
I'm sitting here. So want to give this a damn gold. This is really cool. This is like zebra foreplay. I've never seen it before. It's just so damn exciting. But then there's this texture that just draws you away, and the bright sky draws you away, and oh man, the content is a gold distinction. But unfortunately, the post-production's just killed it. It just takes it away from that amazing point of focus, which is the zebra on the right biting the neck of the zebra on the left. It's just extraordinary. So please reprint this for APPA. We don't need all those filters and textures. It just takes us away. But gee, there's a great potential image here.
Okay, thank you very much. Next print, please. Print scores 86, silver distinction. George, you were right on the 86 mark. Give us some comments, please.
Yeah, I really love this shot. The concept. The more you looked at it, the more you saw, and the more story that came out from that. I love the piecing together, and the blood on the bottom right-hand corner, what looks like blood, is pretty impactful.
Okay, thank you. Next print, please. Print scores a silver award, 81. Robin, you were actually just outside of that. Is there any way that this image could be improved?
Yeah, there's a very, very strong graphic component to this image, and then this organic feature in the middle. And through post-production, dodging and burning, I think that could really be intensified, so more contrast in the blocks, and then more sort of depth in the actual body itself. It's got highlights all over the top that are just a bit messy. So if it could be refined in the post-production, I think it could go a lot further, because there's a very interesting story there. But at the moment, for me, just under 80, it lacked the finesse.
Okay, thank you. Next print, please. This print scores 77. Mark, can I have a comment from you, please? And while you're making a comment, David Evans, if you can step off, and G, if I can have you back on, please.
Yeah, look, the story's been created here, but it just lacks the finesse in the post-production to really marry all of the elements together. So, you've got a strong narrative, but it needs a lot more refinement and maybe a different point of focus on the temple to rework this image.
All right, next print, please. If you've just joined us, we're in the illustrative category of the Epson sponsored AIPP South Australian and Northern Territory Tasmanian Awards for 2018. Thankfully today, knock on wood, we haven't had any technical problems like yesterday. Our judges at the moment are Robin Campbell, Dean Mansbridge, Mark Zed, G Greenslade and George Fragopoulos. Hey, I got it. Print scores an 82, silver award. Interestingly, all of our judges were in the award range then, in the silver category. Who would like to make a comment about this one? Mark.
So I snuck it over the edge because it is a beautiful, beautiful image, but the texture that's run into that second, the mid section of that tone, just above, so above the orange line, the texture goes from the orange into that tone and it breaks the illusion of a beautiful flowing landscape.
Right, thank you. We have our next print, please. Princess Silver Award at 81. George, you were just outside of that range. Maybe you can give us some comments about how it might be improved for you.
Yeah, I love the movement, tones, contrast. There was just something lacking that I was searching for, couldn't quite find it. So I think I just needed that something else to push me up.
Okay, thank you. Next print, please. Prince scores 85 and is a silver distinction. Robin, could I have a comment from you, please?
Yeah, there's something really quite jarring about this, and you're trying to figure out what the story is. Obviously, she's bored to death. She's got that deathly skin colour, and she doesn't want to be there, and her eyes look like they're going to roll out of her head. And I'm just trying to tie in. For me, it's actually the styling. I'm trying to tie in her actual occupation with what she's wearing with her entire background. And there's something that doesn't quite marry, but I know that there's a gold award in there somewhere, but if I can just figure out what the story is. And for me, it's something I think about the styling, because the cardigan with the white coloured shirt, I'm sort of thinking, what is that trying to tell me about who she is and her occupation? I get the error, but yeah, it's just missing that little bit of story that connects all the dots.
All right, thank you. Next print, please. Prince scores 83 and is a silver award. Mark Zed's going to challenge that on 89.
Yeah, look, guys, I wanted to push this into the gold. Like the communication that has been presented to us is just impeccable. This is a year cycle explained so strongly. If I grew up in a wheat belt town, this is a stunning representation of life on the farm, and it is that abrupt. You jump from season to season. There's a distinct time for everything, and it can happen like a flash. I know, there's distinct splits to this image, but it's very deliberate. It's very intentional, and it's very accurate to purpose as well. So the way that they are communicating this story is absolutely exceptional. The only thing that held me back a little bit is lacking a little bit of contrast in the print. Otherwise, this would kick all the goals for me, outstanding visual communication, interpretation, and impact. Like this turnaround, it's like, with that little bit of punch, would have got there. I encourage you to come to Silver Distinction because I truly believe this is exceptional communication.
All right, G, you're at the outside the award range.
Mark, I actually don't dispute any of that at all. And coming from a rural area myself, I really did read all of that because it is abrupt. However, where I'm struggling is actually, so we've got the clouds, they've stretched those clouds. So if that was, stretch the clouds, the cars are starting to stretch as well and move around. I mean, that is a characteristic of the polar pano, but to go up into gold, or go up into the silver distinction at least, I'm feeling I would actually rather have seen that warped back a little bit just to give us that believability on the edges. In terms of the splits as well, they're actually just a bit, they go really wonky. So this bottom one, it's going, and so that's actually quite distracting to me. And the middle wheat in that, get rid of it. It feels like it's had some of those sort of layer styles on it. I'm not assuming that it has, but that's what it looks like. So I want that gone, something else in the middle. And then I would have been like, yep, on it, you know. So please, author, keep going.
Okay, Robin Campbell will comment from you, please.
Thank you for challenging Mark, because this is giving us a great opportunity to talk about this, so how next time it can get to gold, because it totally has the potential. It does have technical.
So Mark's going to hold his score at 89 and we'll have everybody else rescore, please. Print now gets an 85 and is a silver distinction. All right, we'll have our next print, please. Yep. Ben, can I get you to step in for this one, please? Yep. Print score's 77. We're all happy with that? Yeah? Okay. Can I have a comment from Robin?
Yeah, I think the actual model's been really beautifully shot and beautifully styled. For me, it falls apart with the heavy shadowing, and it's almost as if she's one thing and then that's another thing. They've tried to combine them and it hasn't quite got there. It's got a very cut and paste quality. So go back and have another look, and you get your art coming out of the artwork. Just make it look a little more realistic.
Ben, I might leave you there. G, I get you to step off? George, I'll need to have you back, please. Actually, Ben, if you just jump across, because that way I don't have to change judge. Thank you. All right, are we ready? Next print, please. Well, this is where things get interesting. At the moment, it's 86 silver distinction, which is fabulous. Robin Campbell's going to be challenging it on 93. We've got scores from 78 right through to 93, so it's going to be an interesting one.
I love the rawness of the creativity here. To me, it's just totally a parallel universe. It's sort of like in the background, you got the reality of the lighthouse, and then you've got this sort of broken down toilet, which is also a little bit real, and the dinghy that's kind of been pulled in, for the guy to go to the dunny. And then there's the parallel universe of what's actually happening at the same time, at the same place with this out there. Insane creation of an animal. It's all wheels and cogs, and it's steampunk combined with styling, and it's got an organic element as well with that little face coming in. It's just so clever. It's that level of creativity that's right out there that you just think, where on earth have they come from? you know, you think of melting clocks and all those sorts of, you know, famous artworks that you just kind of go, that makes no sense at all, but it's so interesting. And that's where I'm at with this. Love the print quality as well, and the tones in the bottom, that sort of beautiful green balances really nicely with the tonal palette of the browns at the top, and the blue and the yellow, and yeah, delicately handled, and creativity through the roof. Love it.
Mark Z, you were not quite so fond of it.
Yeah, look, it's not that I'm not fond of it. I think that it's a really great, strong image. But I think when we're looking at putting something into the award range, and we're looking for strength of visual communication, there's so much being communicated here, but it's all incongruent. It doesn't. I'm not getting any one story strong enough to stand out, to draw me in, to really find a strong emotional connection to this image. I think it's an awesome exercise in technical mastery of the of placing together images. I like the split between the light and the dark, and that kind of two-world possibility. But I'm also confused. There's nothing like I now see the face. But even seeing the face, I think, look, I would pop it up into that silver range, but I think I'm really struggling. I don't think I can come up as far as a gold.
Ben or George, who would like to make a comment? Ben?
I scored this an 88, and I think the reason for me not going into a gold was because I didn't see that story until you explained it, Robin. Little boat, making a pit stop to the toilet. I didn't realize that was a toilet, and that's cool. And then, maybe this is a roadhouse. This is another crazy, this is where this steampunk kind of crazy ass thing, which I don't know what the hell it is made to stop. This guy needs to go to a toilet. And I think that's really cool. I love the image so much. And I think that part of the story tied it in for me. I'm coming up to gold.
All right. Have we got any other comments before I go return to Robin? No? Robin, if you'd like to do your right of reply, please.
Yeah, I think this is my favourite thing about art, how some people can love it and just get it, and it inspires them to a different world, and for other people it just doesn't make sense, and I think that's what also makes it intriguing. I reckon there almost could be a little guy in there that's gone to the dunny as well, because if you look at the top, there's almost like a little lookout point that he's looking at. It's the good old Mary Poppins crazy person on the roof philosophy coming through as well. There's all these little clever little references all the way through it. It is brilliant and it is unique, and I reckon an art gallery would pick this up in a second. And let's reward this creative brain.
All right, so Robin will hold her score at 93, and the rest of you will please rescore. Oh, 89 by majority. So silver distinction. All right, next print, please. Print scores 84 and is a silver award. And can I have a comment from Dean, please?
Congratulations for that silver award. That's where I thought this print belonged. There's some things to really like about it, but I'm really drawn away from what is, I assume, is our focal point in our subject in the rhino. It's really hard to engage with the face when the brightest part of this particular subject is its back. Maybe a white rhino, that's a really big part of it. I don't know my rhino, sorry. But I just think that's a little bit hard to engage with him there. I think maybe another part of that is the strength of the texture kind of elements throughout the image. Maybe that's drawing me away from it as well. But congratulations for a silver.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Yes, you can step off for this one. Terry, can I have you back in Ben's spot? You can stay off too, Ben. No, Ben's over there. Yeah. Prince scores 83 and is a silver award. Robin, you were on 81. There was a couple of people that were sort of getting up into that silver distinction range. Do you feel that there's something in this that could be improved?
Yeah. It's a beautiful, simple, classic, lovely picture that I'm sure will sit stunningly on a person's wall. For me, the balance was just not quite there. I would like to see a little bit more headroom above the horse. But, yeah, silver award, fantastic.
George, yes.
I was just out. Beautiful shot. Love the angle. I just would have loved to seen a bit more detail or something in that shadow, maybe a side of a face or something to tell me a bit more of what was happening.
Okay, thank you. Next print, please. Print scores 82 and is a silver award. Robin, again, you were just a little bit below. Is there something here that could be improved?
Yeah, really enjoying the actual technique. I'm just not sure if the subject is carrying through enough information from that. A guy in a suit. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's enough, and if there's just a little bit too much negative space. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Next print, please. Ben, do you want to step on real quick? Thanks. Print scores 82 and is a silver award. Mark, you were right on 82. I'll get a comment from you, please.
Absolutely. Look, you know, the pose, the concept, it's all really there. It is bold. It works. The blacks and the whites, though, particularly in the face, so his eyes and just under her nose, really, you go straight to that and it lets you down a little bit. So just work on that if you're going to send it to APA.
All right. Thank you very much. And we'll get George back in. Thank you. Next print, please. Print scores 77. Real happy with that? Is that a challenge, George? Yes, it is. Okay, so George is going to challenge on 82.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot when I first went up. It wasn't until I got back to my chair and looked back at it, I saw a skull and just the creepiness of it from a distance pushed me into that silver range.
Robin, you're on 86. Can I have a comment from you, please?
Yeah. 76, yeah.
Sorry, what did I say? 86. Oh, dear. I need a coffee as well. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm
76.
enjoying the grittiness of it, and I'm enjoying the textures in the tree trunk and so forth. But yeah, I couldn't actually see the point of focus. It's an interesting object, but I couldn't really see where the photographer was trying to take us in terms of imagination. It needs a more, I think, defined point so we know where to go. And overall, the print is super contrasty.
All right. Do we have a comment from any of our other judges? Mark?
Yep, I saw the skull straight up, and it is there, and it's got a really creepy feel, but it's a lost opportunity in treatment with a highlight that's dragging you out to the left away from that skull. We're losing that intrinsic form there, so I would have liked to have been where you are, but the left just held me back a little.
All right. George, you have a right of reply.
Yeah, I acknowledge, and yeah, I saw the flaws, especially going up. But I guess this is a illustrative, so it's meant to conjure up a narrative and thinking, and it's one of those images. The more you look at it, the more you see. So I think it's deserving of a silver.
Can you point out the skull? I can't see it. Like I actually need. Yeah. Sorry.
There's different skulls. Yeah, I got the skull here.
For those of you watching at home, we've just Robin just asked if George could show where the skull was, and we've now got 3 judges that have seen 3 different skulls in the same image. So with that being said, George, you're going to hold your score at 82, and everybody else will please rescore. Oh. Here it comes. I thought I had, but it obviously wasn't strong enough. Print now scores 79. Everybody moved up a little bit, so yeah, there you go. All right, next print, please. Oh, no. It's gone down as an internal server error. Just a moment while we refresh this.
Should we write down our scores?
No, it's okay. After yesterday, seeing a blank screen just made me feel a bit uneasy. This print has scored 82 and is a silver award. Our next, we'll just have a quick comment. Mark.
Look, I couldn't pop this over into the award range. The right of the building, which had a straight line, we've got bricks there, and we should expect a little bit of definition in those bricks, seeing past that, particularly from the implied camera angle, and just that little bit of refinement needs to go into the post-production.
Okay, thank you. Next print, please. Print currently scores 84 and is a silver award. There's going to be a challenge by Mark Z on 89. You do have a 87 in the silver with distinction range, Mark, so off you go.
Very glad of that. Look, this is a fantastic surreal scene. We've got this naked figure emerging out of the ground with a freshness. The skin is so, it's smooth, the bald head, shaved legs. It's really, it adds to the surreal nature of this kind of mushroom-esque sort of figure emerging. We've got the roots at the back underneath there, implying the growth out, balanced on the right-hand side with the dead tree. The toning of the sky as well, that brings that little added element of surreal to it. And there's a few little things in there that kind of just, I was teetering on the edge of that gold range. And I just love to see this be rewarded with a silver distinction.
Robin, comment from you, please.
Yeah, as soon as it turned around, I thought skin-coloured mushroom. But I went up there and I found it's actually really, really beautiful figurine, the way that they've designed it with the head and so forth. And it is. It's like a human being sprouting out. What held me back from silver distinction range was because we're looking at something they're trying to make it believable. The lighting was just so different. You've got this beautiful golden rays of sunshine coming through from the left-hand side, and then this sort of flatly lit studio portrait of a figurine. And I think if those two elements were combined together so it looked realistic, then I'd be in the gold range. So yeah, that's the bit I'm really struggling. And also I don't think there was quite enough feathering when they did the cutting out because it looks very cut and paste. But yeah, if the lighting had just come through in the concept, it would have been gold for me.
Dean, you were up in that silver distinction range as well, please.
Really good comments from both of you guys. I think, Robin, what you were describing as that lighting consistency was one of the tiny little things that kept me out of goal, but it's really necessary to get the mushroom impact straight away to have the shadow from underneath. I have to light it from above like that. So perhaps just refining that discrepancy would be good. And the other little thing for me was how close the tree is on the right-hand side to the edge, maybe for an overall kind of symmetry. But there's so many more good things to say than negative, because this is so beautiful. Like, the actual print quality is stunning. Like, it's an amazing landscape to start with, and then you add these elements and other story in there. I wasn't sure initially whether this figure was returning to the earth or was being reborn. So that was a really cool illustrative example of we can all see different things, but I totally get where you're coming from. But that contrast between, that pure new life and the old dead tree, and we all start coming out of the earth and we all finish here. So there's a beautiful, beautiful story here, and definitely a comfortable silver distinction for me.
Mark, your right of reply.
Look, I absolutely agree, Robin, and I agree with the way that you addressed those concerns as well, Dean. I think we're looking at something so surreal that you forgive those inconsistencies in lighting. It's you look at some of the old masters and there's no consistent lighting through crowds of faces, and you still get those. You still get the vibe, and this is selling the story just so well. The colour palette is absolutely gorgeous, and I really do believe that it goes above that silver range into the silver distinction. So I encourage you guys to come up.
All right. Well, with Mark staying on 89, we'll let everybody else please rescore. Print is now a silver distinction at 87. And we'll have a blank screen, please, because that's the end of Illustrative. And that's the end of me and my voice over the air. I want to thank all the judges, thank all the volunteers, thank Bruce Moyle for sitting next to me and being an excellent panel chair assistant. And I believe